proving the whole thing's rigged. One of the leading voices out there. He's been big for years, but really he's giant now, reaching millions and millions of people a day. Stefan Molyneux is going to be joining us from youtube.com/free domain radio, Twitter at Stefan Molyneux, freedomainradio.com. He's with us about 40 after. Dr. Group is going to be hosting tomorrow a few hours, but what he told me about was so big, and I was already researching it. Even CNN and others, thousands of kids now are getting paralyzed after they get their shots, but we don't know why. It's like a truck runs you over. You know, we don't know why he's got all these broken bones. Well, a truck just ran him over. Yeah, but we need to get the doctor to tell us first. He's going to pop in the last 20 minutes, and then let me tell you who we've got coming up. This is just some of the folks that are going to be here on the worldwide broadcast. We're going to have Jesse James has come on the broadcast tonight. He's big buddies with Trump. They're launching a Second Amendment group together. I'm friends with James long time, so he'll be coming on the broadcast for the first time. Dr. Ed Group, Stefan Molyneux. We've got Larry Nichols, Dr. Ron Paul, Gerald Celente, John Rappaport, Dinesh D'Souza, Gavin McInnes, Dr. Steve Pachenik, and a bunch of other surprise guests in this 52-hour worldwide transmission. But before I go to Molyneux, because I want to ask you about this first, here's Fox News, which out of the gates, we already played this, is like, well, Trump is tied. This is the same daughter of the Republican neocon ambassador who was on CNN and said that she'd like someone to dress up in a uniform and kill me. I just thought it was a little side issue that, her and Buzz Bissinger fantasize about how they want to murder me and ritualistic kill me as long as we're in uniforms, which just shows the real psychopathic weirdness, as long as we're in a uniform. And she goes, But now she's at Fox, and she gets out, Trump's tied. No, Trump's way ahead. Just let you know she's an operative, the ambassador's daughter. And then she goes to the Washington Times editor, who just starts listing some of it. We have vote@infowars.com is where you report what's happening with the vote. It's flooding in. Dead people, illegals. The president's on TV saying, illegals, we won't prosecute you. You can vote. I mean, this is all about breaking our will in a con game. We're going to Molyneux here in 60 seconds, but here's just some of that report of a laundry list that goes on for like 10 minutes of just fraud all over the country. Here it is.
All right, so let's just get to some of these cases, because this is already proven to be a real thing. For example, in California, a man finds dozens, 83 ballots in someone's home. So apparently 83 people live in one home.
Yeah, well, Jerry Mosner, he was out gardening his house. He has an elderly neighbor who lives in a small little home. Noticed that she had a lot of mail that day, so went to pick it up, found 83 ballots.
Unreal.
And she's just an old woman living in this house. So they went to actually the LAPD to report this, and the LAPD kind of shrugged their shoulders. They said, I'll go to the post office. The post office was like, we don't know what happened. Eventually, another neighbor went to the registrar's office, and they're now investigating this. But they didn't seem too concerned there in California that 83 people were living in this small house, all registered to vote.
Well, and that's California. Here's where it could get serious in a state like Florida, where the polls are neck and neck for Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. In Florida, they busted two women on, third-degree felonies for voter fraud, because the first woman was out canvassing, or she was supposed to be out canvassing for United People for, medical marijuana, out getting voter registrations. Well, apparently knocking on door-to-door was too difficult for her, so she just made up names. She put some dead people, she registered some dead people, she just made up falsified information, sent it all in,
and it just so happened to be for the Democrats.
Her,
it just so happens to all be against Trump.
Another woman was actually working in the Miami-Dade elections department. She was a volunteer opening up mail-in ballots. When she noticed that some people didn't vote all the way down the ballot for the mayor, she started checking boxes for them, for her favorite candidate.
Unreal.
And was caught doing that. Yeah.
And
by the way, that's the deciding county in Florida.
You wonder how many others are out there.
All right, let's stop there. I want to go to our guests. We're going to skip this break so we have more time. Stefan Molyneux. The point is that they say Trump's insane, election fraud doesn't exist, or voter fraud. Well, when you organize voter fraud, that's also election fraud. We have electronic fraud going on. It's all against Trump. Bev Harris, big liberal, big Democrat. She has credibility, bipartisan. She says they're stealing it from Trump. She broke that last week. They found the code nationwide they're doing to shave votes, but they don't have it in every county. And a few states don't have it. So again, it's kind of a cobbling of fraud. Early projections and other ways they're going to do it. But then Obama says there's no such thing. I'm insane. Trump's insane. But we're having the UN, the EU, and everybody else go out and sue Donald Trump and everybody to stop exit pollers, which are legal and lawful. Now the State Department looks at third world elections to make sure they're open and free. Will there be unrest? Are they going to steal it? Is it a landslide for Trump? I want to get his take on all of this. Stefan Molyneux, can you feel the energy, my friend?
I got to tell you, Alex, I've never been a big sports fan for watching sports, but getting pulled into this election cycle and being so interested in the outcome, it's kind of like watching a football game where the winning team gets to rule Western civilization for the next 1,000 years. So
pretty damn important.
It is quite an intense time.
So it's the most important game ever.
Yes, this is where it all comes down to. This is literally the winner-take-all election, because if Trump gets in, then the Republican mandate, at least the ones that the Republican people want, the Republican supporters want, not the one that the rhinos have been bait-and-switching Republicans with for the past couple of decades, they get their mandate. If the Democrats get in, they're going to legalize, of course, all the illegal immigrants. We already know that the media is largely in the tank for them, and they will be unbeatable statistically for pretty much ever. And
I love sitting here babbling, and you crystallize it perfectly. Walk through this. The U.S., for all its problems, is the inheritor of Western civilization, the new Atlantis, Francis Bacon, the Renaissance, the Rosicrucians, whatever you want to call it. That idea. Here we are, all this wealth, true liberalism, all this freedom, being pissed on by the multinationals, telling us we're not the liberals when we are the original liberals. We're the folks that ended slavery. We're the ones behind it. So we're now learning to live in this mind control zone. As you said, this decides where Western civilization goes for a very long time. It's such clear choices here. Break it down.
Well, okay, so the question is, are the rulers below or encapsulated within the rule of law? This, of course, has been something that Western civilization has been fighting for over 1,000 years. You could say back to the time of Socrates, 2,500 years ago, we've been trying to put this control, this lid over the power of the rulers. And I think we can see with the, 5 now, I guess down to 4 after Comey's review of a tiny subset of the 650,000 emails said that they found no smoking gun of intent, which, of course, nobody expected them to find. We've got 4 other FBI investigations into Clinton associates of their immediate families. And this Clinton stuff has been going on for decades, as you know. You've been covering it for a long time. I've been observing it for a long time. Are the rulers below the rule of law? Can they be encapsulated and controlled by the rule of law? If not, we're back to monarchy, but a very well-armed monarchy, and a monarchy with incredible electronic surveillance and control tools, a monarchy with powers we never could have anticipated in the past. Or are we going to put government back under the rule of law? Are we going to have debates about ideas rather than demographics? It all comes down to tomorrow.
That's right. And again, it's the most racist thing ever when Christians and patriots come, real Christians, and get rid of slavery worldwide. England bans it. And then somehow they turn it around when we're the ones making it not about what color you are, but what you stand for. Now under the Democrats and with all the minorities, as if they were going to be more altruistic or better than a white person. No, they're just the same. They're being turned to little Klan members. And we're hearing the most racist crap ever, and the colleges are all self-segregating, and we're hearing taught white people are inherently the problem and must be exterminated. It is just, as a classical liberal, it totally flips me out that it's such a quick move to this.
But the left, you know this as well as I do, I'm sure, but it may be new to your audience, Alex. The left doesn't care about minorities. They don't care about women. They care that good people want equality for the races. They care that good people want equality for the gender, for the sexes. And so what they do is they say, well, we care about blacks. Well, how much do they care about Clarence Thomas or Herman Cain or other black Republicans? Well, they generally try to destroy and smear and all that kind of stuff. How much do they care about some of the amazing women who were on the right?
That's right. They bully them and they treat their people like they own them.
Yeah, it's not about, it's trying to take our natural care and concern for equality between the races and the genders and turning it against us. It is a lever, it is a mechanism to use our best and most noble qualities against us. It's a way of advancing socialism and collectivism and central planning, using our sympathies for various groups. They don't care about these groups other than a sort of pinion or ratchet way to get into more and more power.
That's right, and we see it in the WikiLeaks, how they're dividing groups, how they want to, quote, keep us dumb, keep us in the dark, keep us confused, keep us poor. I mean, I knew all this watching them, but I knew they were telling CNN and MSNBC what to do, but it's all there, a total blueprint. How does Hillary survive this, even if she steals it? I mean, is this not a classic Pyrrhic victory?
Well, of course, it would depend on how stern Congress would be in the aftermath of a Hillary presidency. Would they go after her for some of the alleged law-breaking activities that she's been engaged in? Would there be an impeachment? That would be up to the spine and resolution of the Republicans in Congress. And, of course, I'm not exactly sure where that stands. I think that they've been stiffened up a little bit by Trump, who's lent them some significant free market spine. But I don't know if they would have the resolution to go in. It would really depend maybe on the Republican voters to see how staunch they would be. But Alex, at what point, this collusion coming out of the WikiLeaks, coming out of the DNC leaks and the Podesta emails, the collusion between the Clinton campaign and various media outlets, dear Lord above, Alex, at what point is this just a campaign donation? At which point are they just going to be registered as PACs and be honest about it?
Well, that's why they want to take all libertarian or conservative or any other anti-war, whatever they don't control, and make that political speech something taxable, controllable, because they're going to be exempt from all this, just as they've been with the whole IRS persecution. No 501c3s to conservative groups or libertarian groups or veterans groups or gun groups, tens of thousands of their groups. It truly is, as you say, a monarchy where they hand out the licensure, the letters of marque, just like Obamacare, thousands of waivers to big companies who don't have to do it, but I have to do it. Well, how do I compete then? Well, I don't. I'm supposed to go away.
And this is the amazing thing when you think of the amount of cultural and educational and academic force behind the Democrats, that they're still faltering at the moment. You know, the Democrat-controlled government schools controlled children's minds for 12 years, indoctrinating them into big state, big government policies. You have the withholding of information in crucial elections, like blaming Benghazi on a video when they knew it was false. You have the importation of tens of millions of immigrants from the third world.
They're inflicting children with super guilt if they're white, and then teaching minorities who are a majority to hate, because they're now a majority of the schools, to hate the white kids. They are inflicting them with all this environmental crime. They're creating basket cases. Sorry.
No, and so you have education, you have Hollywood, you have academia, you have the mainstream media constantly pounding this Pravda-style misinformation and ignoring facts and rejecting rational arguments, rejecting empirical evidence, and still, like watching a superhero coming crawling out of the wreckage, comes the clarity and resolution of the American people of all races and genders wanting to push back against this tidal wave of misinformation. To me, this is a truly heroic time. It's like watching.
I agree. It's so epic.
It's travels pull his way out of these chains of these tiny people.
No, I totally agree. It's like watching Samson, even though the American people have had their eyes gouged out and their ears gouged out and have been starved to death for 10 years in a dungeon, still knock the pillars down. I think we're reaching that moment. So Stefan, looking into your political crystal ball, you're a smart guy. You saw this coming a long time ago. What does your gut tell you? I mean, if they rigged everything else, they're going to rig the election. They've been caught. It's all in the WikiLeaks. What do we do if there's all this evidence of fraud already coming out? They're oversampling in the polls. Still, he's winning in those polls. If he loses in oversampled polls against him, I mean, if he's winning in polls that are oversampled and then he loses in the general election, we know there's a fraud. They already told us in plain view, oh, your vote doesn't matter in the primary. The Republican Party will decide. We are sovereign. George Will actually said, the sovereign party will decide, not a mere plurality of the public. He let us know his arrogance from the Washington Post. Well, guess what? My website's bigger than yours, according to Comcast, dumbass. You sit there, I am George Will. I wear a bow tie. You don't count. We are the sovereign. What the hell's wrong? He's as stupid looking and ridiculous as Kim Jong-un.
Well, the key, of course, to winning the election is to have Trump win by such a margin that it becomes impossible to rig. So that, of course, is one solution, and really I think it's a solution that would be the very best. If it's close, or if there appears to be some significant manipulation of the vote, if it wasn't Trump, I would say that the Republicans would probably cave. But Trump is a fighter. Trump is somebody who, as he's always said, you hit me, I'm going to hit back harder. He is going to stand for the right process. He is going to stand to make sure that the election is as honest as possible. I don't think he's going to fold if he thinks something really untoward has occurred. And that, of course, may be the only hope. If it's close enough and it appears to be some hinky stuff going on. If it wasn't Trump, I would say there'd be a folding, but I don't think that will be with him.
And someone named Mr. Podesta was in emails to top Democratic operatives. This was in, I think, Data Dump 12. And they said there's going to be some wet work in the next few days. And they're like, oh, my God, we made the decision. And they go, yes, We're going to launch operations, batten down the hatches. It's going to get rough. I mean, those are terms they use. And then the Supreme Court justice who last time defeated them in 2000, we're not saying Bush is good, but, you know, it happened. Now it's going to be 4-4 split. They would have had Scalia to put Trump in. So Scalia sleeps with the fishes. And then the Washington Post, the same publication, let us know a month later, oh, he was in a secret society when he died, and there was a pillow on his face. Bye-bye. I mean, they just throw it in our face.
I think the key thing to understand for me about the left, Alex, is that it's impossible to really fathom their motives and their machinations without understanding that they're addicts to power. And if you've ever known somebody, and I hope you haven't, but if you have ever known somebody in your life who's a real addict, whether it's sex or gambling or drugs or alcohol or whatever, they will do anything to get their drug of choice. They will step over bodies, they will destroy their lives, they will lose their savings, their marriage, their relationships with their children.
Look at the Clintons, look at the Clintons, look at the Clintons. They are, everywhere they go, we learn at the State Department, you name it, White House, they steal everything. They're mentally ill. They are addicts to, they believe everything is theirs. They have this total entitlement mentality.
And they'll be as nice to whoever holds that power. In this case, it happens to be the American electorate. And of course, the complaint has been made by African Americans, and I think quite reasonably, that the Democrats will kind of bungee in and love them to death every time they need their votes, and they'll bungee back out and leave the inner cities to continue.
Look at Haiti. Look at Haiti.
Yeah, they bungee in and they say all of these wonderful, great things are going to happen, and as soon as they get what they want, you know, it's like a drug addict who comes to you because they want to borrow $50. Well, they're real nice to you until you give them the $50 and then they vanish, and then they're only going to come back when they want more. So if we frame the left as addicts for power, then I think it's a lot easier to understand how they operate and what they're doing. There's no particular standards. It's just, can I get the next hit of my drug of choice?
Well, let me give people a little insight into Trump's psychology, because before I started endorsing him, I did a lot of research, people that know him. If it's a big, powerful corporation or a group, he's obsessed with beating them, and nobody's going to cheat him. But with little people in his organization that work hard, it's almost like he has this, almost like a white guilt or something. He like promotes minorities, women, puts them in charge. They work hard. He gets super loyal to them. That's why Jesse Jackson gave him an award for hiring record numbers of black folks and putting them in positions of power. And the truth is, when he says, great energy, I love, you know, black people, it's not a patronizing thing. Trump likes like real people. I don't know. He likes energy. He likes not putting on an act. He likes confidence. And he likes boxers. He likes men. And he can't stand going to these black areas and seeing what horrible squalor it is and the corruption and what the Democrats have done. He literally sold people on LGBT freedom. The Democrats wouldn't even mention it. Hillary wouldn't even do it. Okay, he literally sold everybody on reparations, which you shouldn't do reparations because whites did something, but okay, let's have tax exemption for black folks in these areas. Let's have tax credits to move businesses in for people that actually want to take advantage. Yeah, sure. Let's help groups that have been disadvantaged with the tax code, you know, instead of these elite billionaires. The black people should be falling down before Donald Trump, what he's done. It's total trailblazing. Instead, we go out in public and have groups running up screaming, you homophobe, you support Donald Trump, you son of a bitch. And I'm like, we've got it on them. What are you talking about? He wants to kill gay people. It's total made up crap.
Well, okay, first of all, Donald Trump has the amazing ability, even though he grew events yesterday. I mean, good Lord, that is I don't know how much coffee I'd have to drink to do 5 giant speeches in a day, but the man's 70, and he's a complete workhorse and a powerhouse, and he has this capacity to connect with the needs of the people.
Well, here's what happens. He thrives on beating people that are trying to suppress him. And he sees America, he sees himself as America. That's why they're so scared. They figured out, oh my God.
We're on the march.
We'll be back with Stefan Molyneux.
Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Mortgage rates are at all-time lows. If you have not refinanced your current mortgage in the last few years, you could be losing thousands of dollars a year by paying too high of an APR. And the place to call is LendingTree to find out how low you can go. We can match you with lenders offering some of the lowest rates APRs available. Some APRs are lower than 3%. Imagine how much money you can save every month if your current mortgage is at 6% or higher. And all it takes is one free call to